we're almost halfway through the month. It is another work week for many of us, and we do hope you're starting it right with lots of patience, kindness, generosity, and good intentions that really translate and transcends. Ako po, si Denise Tan.
Patience baka mo? Tagal naman. Ako naman po si Lourdes de Vera. Rollback, isang salitang hindi na nadidinig sa loob ng mahaba-habang panahon mula sa Shell, Caltex, Sea Oil, Petron. Pero diesel na menos 21 ang diskwento, huwag na tayo mag-ilusyon. Sa usapang US-Iran ay walang narating na desisyon, kaya wala munang itatago ng mga kanyon at ilabas pa rin ang mga mas malalaking galon. Dito ko na sa programang hindi matatawaran ang tunay na price. Ito na po ang Afternoon Delight.
Okay, today is Monday. Again, a start of a new week, April 13. Kamusta naman ang naging weekend mo, partner?
Maganda sana, partner, kaso nung nalaman ko na after 21 hours, hindi nagkasundo ang Iran sa Amerika.
Yes.
Nako. At ewan ko kung tuloy ito, no? Yung haharangin daw ng US.
Oo.
Ang mga barko ng Iran. Well, sabi ng Iran, wala raw silang nakikita so far. Pero as early as Saturday, may sabi na sinisweep na raw ng mga US boats yung mga mines sa iniwan ng Iran. Kung totoo na malilipat sa dagat ang conflict, medyo delikado.
Exactly.
Medyo delikado talaga yan. Pero either magdo-double down si Trump sa kanyang Iran offensive or sana magbigay ng kumbaga way out, ano? Parang off-ramp para kay Trump. Kasi kahit sa Amerika mismo, diesel prices na record high na.
Oo, actually, mga supporters na reacting negatively na rin sa kung ano yung nangyayari in the prices of oil. Ang nakakatawa lang, meron ako interview na nakita recently from President Trump. Sabi niya na, we're winners, we won. And military, if you're talking about the military daw, sigurado daw panalo sila.
Alam mo siguro, ang mga tao sa paligid ni Trump, pati na yung in charge na makakita ng mga telebisyon niya, sabihin na lang na oo, nanalo na tayo para matigil na siya at tuloy-tuloy lang ang mundo.
At ang panonood niya ng UFC.
Ano no?
Nakita mo yon over the weekend while J.D. Vance was actually in talks with Iran through the help of Pakistan. May reports na ito daw si President Trump ay nanood ng UFC.
Hayop na yon, nakakapag-golf pa nga yan eh. So, relax lang siya, samantalang mga tao on the other side of the planet ay nagkakanda. Hindi na alam kung saan kukunin yung susunod na uulamin, pati kanin. Walang hiya talaga to si Trump. Ay nako. Bukod sa mataas sa presyo ng crude at bilihin, kayo mga kapatid, nako ito pa, dalawa lang daw ang sigurado sa mundo. Death and taxes, sabi nila. Yung mga kapatid, panahon ng tag-init, panahon ng napakaraming sunog, panahon din ng, fa-file na kayo ng income tax returns, partner. Ikaw ba nakapag-file na?
Oo, maaga ako
Dapat talagang, huwag mo kakalimutan ang iyong responsibilidad.
Ang kasunod niyan, syempre pag nag-file ka na ng annual mo, percentage naman.
Percentage
diba?
naman.
Sunod-sunod ang talagang...
Ikaw na nagbabayad, ikaw pa talaga pahirapan. Hindi, joke lang. Kailangan ng pondo ng gobyerno. Alam mo naman, nakakulangin. On to the news. The Department of Energy says fuel prices from this week may see significant rollbacks. Diesel prices may drop by over 20 pesos per liter. Gasoline, meanwhile, could decline by 4 pesos and kerosene by more than 8 pesos per liter.
And the adjustments are based on movements in the international market, including easing global oil prices. Industry sources cited the ceasefire between the United States, Israel, and Iran as a factor in the expected drop. Energy Secretary Sharon Gurin earlier said prices are not likely to return to 60 pesos per liter. And here are other headlines we're watching. Malacanang says President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. may announce his decision on fuel excise taxes today. That's amid calls to ease the impact of high oil prices. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the president is likely to make the announcement following cabinet talks on possible tax suspension or reduction. Under Republic Act number 12316, the president may cut or suspend taxes if Dubai crude averages at least $80 per barrel, with relief measures limited to 3 months. The Environmental Management Bureau, NCR, has deployed drones and air quality teams after a fire hit the Navotas City sanitary landfill on April 10. The agency is conducting an emergency assessment and is setting up monitoring stations to track possible health risks, including emissions reaching nearby provinces. Residents are urged to stay indoors, limit outdoor activities, and wear N95 masks. Of particular concern are children, the elderly, and people with respiratory conditions. The Armed Forces of the Philippines welcomes a reported plan by the U.S. military to build a fuel refueling depot in Mindanao by 2028. Philippine Navy spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Rear Admiral Roy Vincent Trinidad, says the facility will remain under Philippine control. The structure will be covered by existing agreements such as the EDCA and the Visiting Forces Agreement. The AFP adds the depot will support humanitarian response, maritime security, and military operations, and will serve as a deterrent, not a target. And the local government of General Luna in Siargao warns tourists against disruptive and offensive behavior amid reports of misconduct on the island. Officials say some foreign visitors have been involved in altercations, discrimination, and non-payment of services. The LGU says violators may face fines, deportation, or legal action. The Bureau of Immigration, for its part, is monitoring reports of overstaying foreign nationals.
Over at the Senate, the energy emergency is a top agenda. And telling us more about it is our mobile journal, Merimon Reyes. Merimon, kamusta ang meeting? May hearing ngayon ang Protect, and what have senators discussed so far?
Lord Denise, good afternoon. Sa hearing ng Senate Protect Committee, unang ibinahagi ni Department of Energy Secretary Sharon Garin na steady raw ang supply ng mga produktong petrolyo ng oil companies sa bansa. Dito niya rin kinumpirma na ang mga oil companies sa huli nilang meeting kahapon ay sinisiguro na magkakaroon ng malaki-laking fuel price rollback this week. But then again, depende pa rin ito, fluid ito based sa magiging computation nila ng average fuel prices, at depende rin daw kasi ito sa magiging pagsasalita ni US President Donald Trump. Kasi kung sa mga lumipas na araw, kung nakitang okay, pero recently naman may nabitawang salita itong si President Trump na pwedeng maapektuhan yung daloy ng supply ng langis mula sa iba't ibang mga bansa, pwedeng magkaroon pa raw ng changes sa mga ito. At kanina rin, sinabi naman ni Secretary Garin na nakakuha na ang bansa ng 1 million barrels ng langis mula sa mga supplier nito. And kung i-convert ito, it's around 159 million liters ng diesel. Dalawang batch na of this ang nakarating na dito sa bansa ng mga lumipas na araw. And then yung dalawang susunod pang batch nito para makumpleto niya ay inaasahang darating sa susunod na 2 linggo. Pero ang sabi ni Secretary Garin, so far itong around 159 million liters of diesel, it's good for 5 days para sa buong Pilipinas, and they're also planning na i-sustain na yung replenishment nito habang lumilipas ang mga araw. Ang sinabi rin kanina ni Secretary Garin, para rin daw ma-assure yung commitment naman ng ibang mga bansa pagdating sa mga transaction sa Pilipinas na may kinalaman nga dito sa supply ng mga produktong petrolyo, nakikipag-ugnayan din daw one-on-one ang ahensya o ang gobyerno sa mga bansang Brunei, Taiwan, China, Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, Colombia. Susunod na rin dyan ang US, ang Canada, pati ang Argentina. And yun nga, kahapon, napag-usapan din nila yung tungkol nga sa mga oil company naman, yung kanilang fuel price rollback, pati yung paghihikayat na magbigay na nga ng diskwento sa mga kliyente nito o consumer ng kanilang mga langis, at yung inaasahan pa na magiging adjustments in the long run. Lord Denise.
Okay, Merimon, kanina nagkainitan daw yung mga senador at resource persons. Sabi nung isang senador ay wala raw sense of urgency. Sige nga, pakikwento nga.
Yes. Oh, actually dalawa kasi yung pinaka nakita natin na medyo nag-init ang ulo kaya naman nagpintig ang tenga. Una, si Senator Dati Marcoleta na kinay-question na bakit hindi daw mag-imbak pa talaga ang bansa o ang ahensya ng mga supply ng langis mula pa sa ibang mga bansa. Ang nababanggit dito, ang Singapore daw merong landing price na around 61 pesos per liter. So may datos na pinresenta si Senator Marcoleta. But then again, ang sinabi naman ni Secretary Garin, ngayon steady naman daw yung access to the supply. And on the other hand, ito naman si Senator Amy Marcos, ang sinasabi, ang pinaka-tinugis nila dito is yung 2-day work setup ng DOE na sinasabing parang nagbabakasyon daw ba itong mga empleyado ng ahensya, whereas lumilipas na raw yung linggo, lumilipas na yung mga araw at marami na raw lalo ang nahihirapan sa bunsod nga ng epekto ng girian sa Middle East. Ang sabi naman ni Secretary Garin, hindi naman daw porket 2-day work week yung, kumbaga yung magkakaroon ng physical na working setup itong mga empleyado, hindi raw sila nagtatrabaho. In fact, araw-araw din daw sila nagmi-meet. They also meet on the weekends and ilang linggo na rin daw silang tuloy-tuloy na nagtatrabaho para raw makahanap ng solusyon nga sa naging epekto o impact ng girian sa Middle East dito sa Pilipinas.
Oo, Mary Mon, hindi ba pinaliwanag ni Secretary Garin sa nagtatanong tungkol sa pag-iimbak sa stockpiling ng oil, ay limitado rin ang capacity natin dito sa Pilipinas?
Yes. Oo, yan yung sa mga lumipas din na pagdinig ng Protect Committee. Yan din sinasabi ni Secretary Garin na pagdating nga dito sa storage facilities, actually yung renewable and energy storages nga inaasahan naman na around 1,471 megawatts ang aasahan daw na madadagdag by April dahil sa 22 storage projects na pinagmamadali na raw nila para sa pagpapatuloy nitong issue na to pagdating sa enerhiya o kaya naman sa langis is meron ng renewable energy pang makatutulong na hindi raw nagbabago ang presyo kahit magbago ang halaga ng diesel. Pero ang isa pang kasing problem is yung storage capacity ng bansa. And ito yung sinasabi mismo ni Senator Marcoleta na may pinakita nga rin kasi siyang datos na parang kaya naman, meron namang naging pag-iimbak naman daw yung bansa nung lumipas na buwan. Pero ngayon, bakit hindi raw ma-replenish agad-agad? Ito yung sinasabi niya, dapat daw mag-engage yung mga oil company at ipakita raw kung saan daw ba talaga nila ito nakukuha, yung presyo nito para rin daw matignan kung meron din bang, kumbaga, nagtitake advantage ng kasulukuyang krisis pagdating sa langis. But then again, yan nga, yung storage facility, yan yung gusto na rin tutukan ng ahensya para, especially in the long run, yung palawakin nila yung capacity na makapag-store ng langis dito sa bansa.
Buti hindi nag-walk out, Mary Mon, parang nangyari nung March 26 hearing. Pero meron bang dyan? May mga representative ang mga oil companies dyan?
So far, wala pa tayong nakagilip. Even ang hinanap din kanina is from DOLE kasi ang tinitingnan din dito is yung mga empleyado naman, yung impact nito. So far, ang narinig din kasi natin nagsasalita pa lang ay from the DA na binalita nila na nagro-roll out na rin yung mga subsidiya for around 4.1 million members of the sector, mga fisher folk, mga rice farmers, registered corn, pati sugarcane na mga parte ng sektor, iba yung mga sa fisher folk, yung mga mangingisda, lahat sila niro-roll out na rin daw itong mga kakailanganing subsidiya o kaya ayuda. Same goes din sa transport sector na kanina naman ang na-raise si Senator Joel Villanueva is yung efficiency ng paggamit daw ng mga GPS na binabayaran din ng ahensya ng DOTR para lang masiguro na yung ruta nito sinusunod sang-ayon talaga dun sa daanan ng mga pampublikong sasakyan para tama raw yung binabayaran. Though hindi satisfied si Senator Joel kasi parang nakikita niya mas may ibang cost-efficient na pamamaraan para raw masiguro na yung mga sinasubsidize na mga PUV vehicles, sang-ayon naman yung kanilang mga ruta na ginagawa sa kanilang pagpapasakay ng pasahero.
Okay, Mary Mon, naumpisahan na ba nilang buksan yung books ng mga oil companies? Because according to Senator Gatchalian, ipapa-open daw nila yan to really check also how they compute for their pricing.
Yan yung ine-expect natin sa mga susunod na oras. Kasi so far kanina, ang pinaka-naririnig pa lang natin from the government. Pero yun nga yung part ng pinaka-agenda nila. Marinig na rin yung side ng mga oil company and yung mga representatives. Pero hindi pa naman nagkakaroon ng signal na matatapos na yung pagdinig ngayong araw. So anytime, posibleng maisalang na to. Kasi ang gusto nilang makita din dito is yung pinagkukuha ng supply and kung maaaring malaman din kung magkano yung inilalabas na pera to replenish yung stock nitong mga oil company. Kaya kaya nga na-bring up ulit kanina ni Senator Risa Hontiveros yung tungkol sa oil deregulation law na gusto na nilang i-repeal ito pero so far wala pa yung pinaka-stand ng Department of Energy tungkol dyan. Yan yung hinihintay pa natin kasi gusto na nilang malaman talaga kung ano na ba yung pinaka-best way to mitigate etong posibleng may nagtitake advantage ng crisis o kaya naman ano pa ba yung middle point na masisiguro na itong mga oil companies, syempre hindi sila magkakaroon ng pagkalugi. At the same time, hindi naman sobrang mabubutas ang bulsa ng mga miyembro ng transport sector.
At kung nakita natin yung report sa Philippine Star, no, ang taas ng mga tax na mga nasingil so far based doon sa existing na mga data. Pero ano yung possibility, may sagot ba yung DOE doon sa possibility na pag-angkat daw ng crudo sa Singapore at sa Russia?
Well, yan yung kanina kasi sabi ni Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, ang chairman ng Senate Protect Committee, ipakita mo na raw yung data, yung pinresenta ni Senator Marcoleta. Pero for now, wala pang final na verdict or call mula kay Secretary Garin tungkol doon. Pero ang sabi kasi, ibibigay mo na daw yung full copies nung datos, nung info na nakuha ni Senator Marcoleta for further advisory o kaya naman yung references in the long run.
Alright. Pasalamat tayo sa ating mobile journal. Mary Mon Reyes reporting to us live from the Senate. Thanks, Mary Mon.
The House Mega Panel also conducting a hearing on the energy crisis. Pero bago yan, kamustahin din natin ang House Justice Committee as it resumes impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte tomorrow. Those stories from Mobile Journal, Amy Atienza. Okay, Amy, what can we expect sa impeachment hearing? Sisipot na ba for sure yung self-proclaimed bagman ni VP Sara na si Ramil Madriaga?
Yes, good afternoon, Lord Denise. Dahil nga walang inilabas na temporary restraining order itong Korte Suprema, sinabi na rin ni Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon na magtutuloy-tuloy nga ang proseso ng impeachment at mga pagdinig dito sa Kamara para nga sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero bukod pa dyan, ang inaasahan din natin talaga ay magpakita nga yung mga isinabpina na narinig din natin nakaraang pagdinig ng House Justice Committee, kabilang na yung BIR, pati na rin itong alleged bagman na si Ramil Madriaga na inaasahan nga din natin na magpapakita na nga dito mismo sa Kamara para sa impeachment hearing laban nga kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Ang isa din sa sigurado dito ay may magkakaroon ng protective custody na ibibigay nga kay Ramil Madriaga, lalo na meron ding threats na nakukuha itong si Madriaga sa kanyang buhay, lalo na sa pagtestigo niya dito sa Kamara bukas. At yun nga, simula transport hanggang dito mismo pagdating niya dito sa Kamara ay sinigurado naman ng House Justice Committee na andyan ang House Sergeant at Arms Office para nga masigurado yung security nito ni Ramil Madriaga. So asahan natin na magiging mahaba talaga yung magiging pagdinig, lalo na ito yung first official hearing nga para sa impeachment case ni Vice President Sara Duterte.
May komento ba naman mula sa mga abogado or mga legal ng representative ng Vice President?
Narinig na rin natin, Lord, si Attorney Paulo Panelo kung saan sinabi niya nga na hindi daw magkakilala itong si VP Sara pati si Ramil Madriaga. At bukod pa dyan, nasabi din na kaya naman daw nilang labanan kung ano man daw yung masasabi ni Ramil Madriaga dito nga sa pagtestigo niya sa Kamara. At nasabi niya na rin na isa to sa mga way para mas mapalakas pa yung perjury case na inihain ng kampo ni VP Sara laban kay laban kay Madriaga. So yun yung isa sa mga narinig natin sa kampo nga ni VP Sara. Pero ang paglilinaw din ni Attorney Raymond Palad, siya namang lawyer nito ni Madriaga, ay nire-reject daw nila itong parang idea or yung attempt na i-flag nga daw na weakest link yung pagiging pagiging witness ni Ramil Madriaga sa kung anumang isasampa ng House Justice Committee na reklamo laban nga kay VP Sara.
May nabasa ako sa pahayagan, Amy, na early in the hearing daw papupuntahin kasi limitado yung oras lamang na papayagan ng korte na makalabas si Madriaga?
Yan nga yung titingnan din natin no na magiging early on tomorrow, yun yung expected no ay makikita agad natin si Madriaga at sinabi na rin naman kanina no nagkaroon tayo ng panayam din kasama si ACT Teachers Party List Representative Antonio Tino na yun nga hindi naman daw weakest link kasi bakit naman daw kinakailangan pang lumapit ng kampo nito ni VP Sara sa Supreme Court para nga dito sa testimony no ni Ramil Madriaga. So yan yung aabangan din natin dahil nga kung magiging mabilis ang proseso nito lalo na yung pagsabi din yung pag-testify nito ni Ramil Madriaga sa magiging pagdinig bukas, syempre titingnan natin na inaasahan natin na magiging malaman talaga dahil isa sa mga sinabi niya nga rin no at yung 2022 electoral campaign nga ni VP Sara ay funded daw ng POGOs pati na rin ng drug lords. So yung affidavit din kasi isa yun sa naging affidavit din no yung dokumento na ipinasa din ni Ramil Madriaga para nga dito sa impeachment. So napaka-crucial na marinig din natin yung magiging panig nga ni Ramil Madriaga pagdating nga dito sa impeachment case ni VP Sara.
Okay, Amy, let's move to the energy crisis here in today. Ano? What do you have for us?
Well, so far no narinig na natin yung naging pahayag din ng Department of Energy pagdating nga sa price rollback na yan din naman yung naunang inanunsyo no ng Pangulo nasa around 20 pesos and 89 centavos yung magiging bawas sa presyo ng diesel habang sa kerosene naman mababawasan ng around 8 pesos at yung sa gasolina nasa around 4 pesos yung magiging bawas. So yan yung inaasahan natin naman na mangyayaring price rollback sa presyo ng produktong petrolyo simula bukas. So bukod pa dyan, nasabi din ni DOE Undersecretary Alessandro Sales no, na may best case scenario daw sila dito na baka umabot ng 75 pesos to 90 pesos na lang yung magiging presyo nga ng diesel kung sakaling mayroong long-term ceasefire agreement na mangyayari sa Middle East. So yan din yung ina-anticipate. Pero so far, kung projections ang masasabi, wala pa raw timeline no, na maibibigay din ng DOE para nga dito.
Sino-sino mga kasama dito sa yung LED o yung Legislative Energy Action and Development Council?
Well, Lord, ito pinapangunahan ito ni Chairman ni Ways and Means Committee Chairperson Attorney Miro Kimbo. Nakita rin na rin natin yung ilang mga miyembro din mismo ng Kamara nakabilang nga dyan si Congressman Rufus Rodriguez pati si Congressman Jose Alvarez na nandito din para nga magbigay ng kanilang mga pahayag tungkol nga sa nangyayaring oil crisis at yung epekto nito sa ating bansa. So far, nasabi na rin nila, no, Lord, na itong oil crisis committee, itong lead committee na sinasabi nga natin dito sa House of Representatives, bukas naman daw silang na mag-suspend din no, ng value-added tax kung kinakailangan. Lalo na meron na din tayo talagang malaking epekto nito, lalo na sa transportation sector. At yun nga, nakita na rin natin dito yung ilang mga transport groups, maging DOTR, DOE, pati na rin ang LTFRB ay nandito rin at kasama natin ngayong araw para nga sa pagdinig naman ng House Joint Committee.
All right, thank you for that report, Mobile Journal, Amy Atienza.
And it's time to take our first break, and as we do so, here are the global headlines from the Associated Press. At magbabalik pa po ang Afternoon Delight.
This is AP News Minute. President Donald Trump said Sunday the U.S. Navy will begin a blockade to stop ships from entering or leaving the Strait of Hormuz after peace talks between the U.S. and Iran ended without an agreement. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam postponing his trip to Washington following anti-government protests in Beirut by Hezbollah supporters against possible negotiations with Israel announced by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Hungarians casted their ballots in what is widely seen as Europe's most consequential election this year. This will be a test for populist Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who is an ally of the U.S. president after 16 years in power. As Orthodox Christians across the world flock to churches for Easter services, Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of violating a 32-hour ceasefire to mark the holiday. Worshippers in both countries were seen gathering despite skepticism that a truce would hold.
Alright, this is still Afternoon Delight on One News. Ako po si Lord de Vera.
At ako naman po si Denise Tan. Magandang hapon pong muli.
The Strait of Hormuz is closed again. Negotiations in Islamabad, Pakistan ended in a stalemate as Iran and the U.S. failed to agree on issues including nuclear development. In response, U.S. President Trump ordered the U.S. Navy to immediately stop maritime traffic on the Hormuz Strait, effectively closing Iranian ports and straining the fragile two-week ceasefire. Experts warn of another global spike in oil and gas prices. While both sides are shifting blame for the talks' collapse, stakeholders hope gaps in terms may still be patched through continued talks. Meanwhile, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visited southern Lebanon on Sunday, April 12, to reinforce his country's claim of operational control in the region.
Back here at home, raging stories as well on the political front. Duterte allies have launched the Reform Alliance for Good Governance and Accountability, or RAGE Coalition. The group, set to be led by Davao City Mayor Baste Duterte, includes Partido Reforma and Reform PH. It aims to launch a nationwide campaign against corruption and the rising cost of living, and in protecting democratic institutions. Speaking of Baste Duterte, he has been sworn in as president of PDP Laban, replacing his ICC-detained father, Rodrigo Duterte. He took his oath before party vice chairman Al Cusi, with allies including Bongo in attendance. The party is expected to back Vice President Sara Duterte for president in the 2028 national elections. And the Malacanang Press Corps has rejected allegations that its members were paid to hide the true health status of President Bongbong Marcos. The group said its reporters have been publicly asking government officials about the president's condition and have relied verified information before releasing reports. It added that its coverage is based on interviews and direct observation, not on speculation or unverified online content.
On to another story. Meat and poultry prices rose this morning, and our Mojo Ray Vicente is at the Balintawak market for this update. Rollback ang fuel, ang mga presyo ng petrolyo. Ray, pero bakit nagmamahala ng mga pagkain?
Lord Denise, tama nga kayo. Halos lahat ng bilihin dito sa Balintawak Market sa Quezon City ay nagmahalan na ngayong linggo dahil daw ito sa tumataas din na singil ng mga nagdi-deliver ng mga supply sa kanila. Actually, nasa 20 pesos yung tinaas na. No? Sa usapin naman ng mga commodities, ilan nga sa mga tumaas ay yung karne, kung saan yung beef nasa 500 pesos per kilo na ngayon, habang yung baboy nasa 330 pesos na per kilo, nasa 160 pesos per kilo naman ang presyo ng manok. Ang iba naman yung tinaas ng presyo ng mga gulay dahil lang sabi ng mga tindero-tindero dito, makaunti lang daw talaga itinaas sila dahil mabilis mabulok ang mga gulay. So kung mas taasin pa talaga nila yung presyo, baka wala na raw talagang bumili kahit yung mga suki nila. Kung saan nga naglalaro sa presyo na 60 pesos per kilo, ang red onion, habang ang white onion naman nasa 50 pesos per kilo. Ang corn naman ay nasa 70 pesos per balot, habang ang palaya nasa 80 pesos per kilo, ang kamatis nasa 25 pesos per kilo, ang patatas nasa 80 pesos per kilo, habang ang kangkong ay nasa 180 pesos per bundle. Sa putas naman, Lord Denise, nasa 100 pesos per kilo na ang mangga, habang ang orange nasa 120 pesos per kilo, at ang mansanas nasa 25 pesos isa, at 50 pesos sa tumpok. Pero ang presyuhan naman ng mga isda ay nanatiling stable. Actually, nasa 110 pesos pa rin per kilo ang presyuhan ng tilapia, habang ang galunggong nasa 140 pesos per kilo. Ang bangus naman ay nasa 180 pesos per kilo, habang 400 pesos per kilo naman ang pampano. Pasok pa rin naman ito, Lord Denise, sa presyuhan nga na binaba ng Department of Agriculture na price range kahapon. At syempre, ang mga hinaing talaga, ang mga nais panawagan ng mga tindera-tindera nito, sana raw talaga magtuloy-tuloy, hindi masyadong pagtaas ng mga bilihin dito para hindi raw sila pilitan na mas magtaas pa sa mga sumunod na linggo. Dahil daw pag ganun, talaga malulugi sila, Lord Denise.
Alright. Magpasalamat tayo sa ating Mojo dyan sa Balintawak Market. Ray Vicente. Thank you, Ray.
And we also give you a quick look at stories from our media partners. On the Philippine Star, fuel tax collections surged by 15% to over 37 billion pesos despite only a slight increase in import volume. Transport groups are calling for cuts in VAT and excise taxes, arguing that government's fuel subsidy programs are not enough to cope with business costs. Suspending fuel taxes could reduce pump prices by as much as 17 pesos per liter, but economic managers warn of significant revenue losses. On Business World, the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZA, is advocating for a one-year work-from-home extension to protect IT/BPM sector jobs and competitiveness. This extension, supported by the Department of Finance, aims to maintain investor confidence and safeguard the industry against inflation. The measure aims to help enterprises mitigate the impact of rising costs of transport, logistics, electricity, and basic goods. For more details of these stories, you can visit the social media pages of the Philippine Star and Business World. Do check out as well the social media platforms of One News PH for the very latest news.
All right. At this point, let's go back to the Senate, where the Senate Proactive Response and Oversight for Timely and Effective Crisis Strategy Committee is having a hearing.
And we're just waiting for the announcement.
What
from
was
the
the recommendation of the DBCC?
Mr. Chair, we do not want to preempt the announcement of the President.
Well, dalawa lang naman yan. Either the recommendation was yes, tanggalin, or no, wag tanggalin, or reduce. Pwede rin pala yung reduce, no? You don't want to preempt the President's announcement. When is the President's announcement?
Based on the initial discussion at the same time, tentative schedule, tomorrow, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Sige, so maghihintay po kami. But based on our votes here in the Senate, we are unanimous in, we were unanimous in providing, let's be technical, we were unanimous in providing the President the power to suspend or reduce. But ang ibig ko sabihin nun, we are recommending to the President to suspend the excise tax on petroleum products even during the duration of this, just for the duration of this crisis. And tama po si Yusek Garin, pwede naman bumaba, pwede naman ilang rollback po, kung tagbe 20 pesos yung rollback, apat na rollback para bumalik po sa dati. Diba? Pwede namang tanggalin yung suspension doon sa pang-apat na rollback o pang-limang rollback. Pero habang nasa gantong presyo po yung diesel at gasolina, marami sa kababayan natin naghahanap ng tulong. And I just wanted to be clear about that kasi tama naman po na specific sectors yung tinutulungan natin. It's known throughout the whole world na the best governance is really targeted support for sectors. And we have done that for the last 4 administrations. So hindi ko naman po yung tinututulan. But this crisis is affecting so many of our countrymen. We also need something sweeping. Kasi ito pong kumikita ng 15,200 pesos, sabihin mo ng hanggang 50,000 o ano ba si middle income, hanggang 63,000, wala naman pong programa talaga para sa kanila. Yusek Sulit, wala namang programa para dyan, di ba? This encompasses near poor, to your lower middle income, to your maybe part of the middle income, sila rin po talagang nangangailangan rin ng tulong. Now, I would suggest to Secretary Balisacan and to Secretary Toledo, kung talagang isang taon ito at ganito na yung mga presyo, you need to come back to us with new numbers and the new budget. No? Senator Win, of course, is our Chairman of Finance, napakasipag. Kasi this might mean a recomputation of so many things. From of course, education po yung focus po natin. Even just recomputing our classrooms. All the way to recomputing, because I know DSWD, hindi lang naman yung cash, naka-explain yan kung anong ibig sabihin yan. May part dapat yan pagkain, may part dapat yan pang pamasahe, pang eskwelahan, pang ganyan. Yung mga numerong yun, sabog na lahat because of the price increase. No? Yusek Sulit, tama po, no?
Your Honor.
So there needs to be a serious recomputation if prices will maintain this way until the end of the year or beyond. no? And I think we're willing to do the work kung ano yung kinakailangan. I'm sure many of us are also imagining what we can cut. Marami rin naman pong pwedeng i-cut sa budget, no? Hindi ko po papangunahin yung chairman namin, si Senator Win. I'm sure at the back of his head, nag-iisip na rin siya ano yung mga pwedeng i-cut na mga budget na baka hindi naman urgent o baka naman ay may chance na hindi magamit ng maayos. Yun na lang yung cut natin, yung pondohan natin, yung mga programa para sa kababayan natin. Okay, so just as a final question, Mr. Chairman, thank you for giving me the time. Ito pong uplift, no? So uplift, correct me if I'm wrong, it is a crisis committee. Is this the same as the crisis committee that was formed? Is it the same? Or magkaiba pa po yung crisis committee tsaka yung uplift?
I'm not aware of a crisis committee.
No, Malacanang, sorry, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know that during our first hearing, before the end of the day, there was a crisis committee that was formed. So, is it, or uplift has...
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Secretary.
from now, or since this committee was formed, uplift committee, you're not calling it as an uplift committee. We're not referring it as a crisis committee.
Okay. And uplift will give recommendations to the executive, to the legislative,
Yes, in
to
fact,
the LGUs. Correct po, no?
Yes, in fact, the uplift committee, the EO, is very detailed already. It actually provides the measures already for the energy sector, for the livelihood, it quite broad in its identification already of measures that we need to look at to
Okay.
address the crisis.
My suggestion, Secretary, is kung magsasuggest po yung uplift, dapat it should be in the context of this crisis. Wag lang siyang magsasuggest ng mga programa na ginagawa naman talaga dati, na itutuloy lang. Diba? Kasi, kumbaga, that assumes na parehas pa rin yung konteksto eh. Kaya nga nagka-crisis committee at uplift dahil bago na po yung konteksto natin. So the programs that are in the compendium of programs of uplift, sana po nakalagay kung bakit siya dapat mas pondohan or bagong programa ba ito. Kasi kung ginagawa na ito dati, dapat naman talaga gawin yan. I mean, you get what I'm saying, Secretary, no? It shouldn't just be pinagsama-sama mo yung programa ng gobyerno. It should be addressing the current crisis, which means, ibig sabihin nun, dapat ba i-deploy natin ng mas maaga? I-deploy ba natin ng mas malaki yung pondo? Or iba ba yung sektor na dapat nating bigyan ng pansin? For example, wag lang siya sanang listahan ng mga programang ginagawa na. Kasi kung ginagawa na, that doesn't address the crisis. It really is addressing the problems of our country. Pero dahil ang uplift ginawa sa crisis, sana ipakita natin na meron talagang bagong aksyon dito. No?
Mr. Chair, my presentation this morning precisely addressed that issue that the things that we mentioned there are crisis-related. And to the extent that we identified certain items in the current GAA, is that we want to, if necessary, reorient this program. For example, IX was not meant to be initially to address the transport, but
we will use it.
Yeah, there's money there that we can use it.
Thank you.
To prioritize on that sector that's really now needing the assistance.
Opo, that's something the committee has suggested 2 or 3 hearings ago as well. No? So thank you for that, Secretary. So yun lang po. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to everyone here. I know everyone is, everyone is really trying to address this crisis. Pero ano po, no, ang kababayan po natin, apart from the sectors na nabanggit natin, many of them really are feeling the brunt of this crisis. Kailangan ho nating umaksyon para sa kanila. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Senator Bam. With the permission of my colleagues, allow the Chair to propound some questions. I'll just follow up in some of the questions that our colleagues have already propounded, and they were very important questions. I'll direct my question to the DOE. Kanina, Secretary Garin, nagbanggit nyo and I'll just flash this on the slide, na ang ating latest inventory levels as of April 10, alin na paki-flash to, is 50 days ang total inventory. Tama po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. 50.31 days. We can submit the detailed report, Mr. Chair.
Gasoline is 54 days. Diesel is 48 days. And then LPG, banggitin ko lang ang pinakamahalaga, 36 days. No? Of course, 50 days is the average that we've been seeing in the last week. Pero nakita ko na bumaba ang diesel and LPG, no, compared to last week. So ang ibig sabihin, yung konsumo pa natin ay pareho rin, no? Hindi siya, ang konsumo natin, consumption habits natin pareho, at ang supply natin hindi nadadagdagan, no? Pwede bang malaman kung ano pa, kumusta ang ating pagsosource ng mga supply? Meron ba tayong, again, firm commitments beyond the 50-day mark? Meron ba tayong non-traditional sources after almost 45 days into this crisis? Can you give us a briefing or an update on the supply situation beyond 50 days?
Mr. Chair, it doesn't move because we replenish what we consume. Now, on the question of are there problems in after 50 days? 50 days actually is more of an indication of how much time we have to find replenishment for after 50 days. So we have our oil companies have existing contracts, whether it's with the trader or with the refinery in a supplier country, or new suppliers, Mr. Chair. So we monitor this. We actually monitor in-country stocks, in transit, and confirmed deliveries, and then also their orders that haven't been confirmed. So, monitor namin yan regularly.
We got this Energy Secretary Sharon Garin explaining to a Senate panel during the hearing of the Senate Proactive Response and Oversight for Timely and Effective Crisis Strategy Ad Hoc Committee, or that's the PROTECT Committee. And this is still afternoon delight on One News, so just need to pause for another break, and we will be right back.
April 13th, 1970.
Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B bus undervolt.
Apollo 13 is crippled on its way to the moon when a tank containing liquid oxygen bursts in its command module. The 3 astronauts on board are forced to return to Earth, relying on their lunar module as a lifeboat in space. 1743. Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of Independence and America's 3rd president, is born in the Virginia colony. 1986. In Rome, Pope John Paul II becomes the first pontiff to officially visit a synagogue. It's one of John Paul's most visible moves to improve the Catholic Church's relationship with Jews. 1964. Sidney Poitier is the first black performer in a leading role to win an Oscar for his role in Lilies of the Field. And 1997.
It's something that I've always dreamt of. I think any golfer who's a kid has always dreamt of playing the Masters and winning it, and I was able to do that.
21-year-old Tiger Woods becomes the youngest player to win the Masters tournament. Woods is also the first person of either African American or Asian heritage to win the Masters. Today in history, April 13th. Sandy Kozel, The Associated Press.
The UAAP has officially renewed its partnership with Signal, ensuring continued coverage from season 89 to season 93. The New Deal promises a stronger, more advanced viewing experience with improved technology and wider access across both television and digital platforms. Present during the signing were key figures from both sides, including MediaQuest Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan, President and CEO Ricky P. Vargas, UAAP Season 88 Chairman Father Richard G. Ang OP, and UAAP Executive Director Attorney Rebo Sagisag.
We're very glad and privileged to extend our coverage of UAAP, which is the premier sports league in the country amongst universities. No? So it's a 5-year engagement, and we promise to improve the coverage of the sports, of the various sports that fall under the wing of.
Under the renewed partnership, Signal vows to bring UAAP games closer to Filipino fans nationwide, while continuing to provide a platform for student athletes to shine across multiple sports. Over the years, the UAAP has served as a springboard for athletes who went on to compete in professional leagues like the PBA and PVL, as well as represent the country in international competitions such as the Southeast Asian Games, Asian Games, and even the Olympics.
In any case, what's important here is, as we always say, aside from the organizations, I'm talking about Signal and UAP, we also talk about the people behind those organizations. And we have learned that in the 5.5 years that we have been together, that the people behind both organizations are one, no?
For MediaQuest President and CEO Ricky Vargas, the extension was an easy decision.
It's a content that every Filipino loves to watch, and it's also a source of talent for our national team. So if I could keep this content for the next 100 years, I would.
Meanwhile, MediaQuest is also looking to introduce new technologies further to enhance game venues and the overall viewing experience. Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan reaffirmed their commitment to elevating UAAP coverage in the years to come.
And as MVP said, things like we can put on the court that could be used as to make the games more interesting.
With a renewed partnership and a shared vision, the UAAP continues to evolve, bringing collegiate sports closer to Filipino fans than ever before. Kapatid Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
And you are still watching Afternoon Delight. Thank you for staying with us.
And our delight of the week, ito, eggs or itlog, or I guess kung ano yung mga pwede mong gawin with eggs. So meron tayo ngayong
theme.
Oo, yun ang theme natin. But for today, we do have pancakes as our delight.
Baklase itong pancake na to.
Ano to?
May
Saan
savory
magaling?
factor siya.
Talaga?
Oo, try mo.
I'm excited.
At ito hindi siya
Ano ba to? Maple?
Hindi siya simpleng maple syrup eh.
Ay, iba yung amoy.
Try mo. Masarap siya.
Drizzle natin.
Tapos hindi ko alam kung asin tong nasa ibabaw na to eh. Or hindi naman dandruff siguro yan.
Grabe naman yun.
Sintabi po sa mga kumakain ng dandruff. Diba?
Anong lasa yun?
May savory something.
Saan kaya galing to? Masarap. Anong lasa yun? Hindi ko ma-explain.
Hindi ko ma-explain pero masarap siya.
Ano siya, yung lasa niya is, you know when you have a big plate, like a breakfast plate na halo-halo na, with like sausages, the burger patty. Hindi, tapos nalagay doon. Hindi, yung nalagay na yung glitzy, nalagay na yung maple syrup mo doon. Tapos you kind of taste the meat already.
You're talking about fat.
Yun.
Yeah.
Diba? Parang yun yung, sorry, that's the easiest way I can try to explain it.
Pwede. Baka nasa sauce ba siya o nasa pancake?
Oo. Masarap.
Actually, yung pancake,
Ay, galing to.
open platform sa kahit ano pwede mo ihalo.
That's true.
Para sa akin, wag lang pasas, wag lang pinya.
Pinya?
Baka magka-idea pala sila. Wag.
Paki-google nga sa mga viewers natin kung merong pinya pancake. Parang
Mong kanin.
fried rice. Okay, sige, daanan muna natin ang ating mga storya on social media. First one is on the Philippine Star. Trump criticizes Pope Leo the 14th.
Hindi, no? Anong sabi ng Tito Donald mo?
Ayan o. Ito kasi, yun, Trump lambasts Pope Leo the 14th, extending feud over Iran war with first American pontiff. Nasaan ba yung meron akong sinasabi kanina, parang he shouldn't be so radical left daw.
Oh my God.
Oo,
Alam
sabi
mo,
niya kay Pope.
Nasanay na lang siya na anyone, ganyan yung MAGA crowd eh. Anyone asking
Against,
for basic human rights, anyone asking for peace, lahat na i-equate sa radical left palagi. Yan na. Oo, nakurta na masyado yung utak nila. At yung simple paghingi ng kapayapaan ay radical leftist, Marxist ang tingin agad nila, no? So, hindi ba pwedeng, sa bagay, si Trump naman is not exactly known for spirituality. No? Nung tinanong siya anong favorite Bible verse niya,
Ano sabi?
it's a personal matter. It's a private matter daw.
Walang mai.
Alam mo yung paghalata mong wala, nang BBS lang sa mga sagot niya.
Hindi, pero ano, no? What's the word to use kaya? Pero it's so, it's not typical talaga for the public to hear criticism from a president directed at a pope. Diba usually
Hindi,
parang,
nauna tayo dyan.
alam ko, sabi ko nga sa kanina, sounds familiar. Pero ibig ko sabihin, worldwide, parang hindi naman kasi, it's not an everyday occurrence na pati pope papatulan mo with your, you know.
Sa bagay, kasi alam mo kung yung buhay mo ay ilang milimetro na lamang, na nasa utak mo na sana yung bala mula sa sniper. Anong meron ang kapalaran? Kung bakit biglang, ng hangin yun na biglang sa tenga lang niya tumama.
Grazed lang.
So, ibig sabihin talaga, konekta mo yan sa nangyayari ngayon. Hindi kaya si Trump yung Antichrist?
May ganon?
Bakit hindi?
Well,
Malay mo, diba?
sabi nga nila, anything is possible. So,
Isipin mo, partner, ilang kaso yun na found guilty siya, na, di ba?
oo.
Nakasuhan siya, 35 plus mga krimen. Bala from a sniper. I-add up mo lahat na, nag-sex with the porn star, lahat na posible na ng mga demeaning na mga paninira na pwede mong gawin sa isang tao, binato na lahat sa kanya. Bakit?
Lusot pa din.
Nandito pa rin siya. So, ito ay hindi na simpleng kapalaran lamang to. Baka ito ni apocalypse as we know it. We're nearing towards that.
Wag naman sana, ano.
And
But
the
okay.
signs are everywhere on social media. And netizens are sounding off online and they want the big D, si Donald Trump, to pay attention on this. Hoy, Trump, I saw the signs. Today's edition, social media on Trump versus Pope. Dagdag ko pa dyan, partner. January 6, di ba? Inutusan niya yung mga MAGA faithful na lusuban niya yung White House. Kung iba lang yan, wala na yan. Pero, kung nanalo pa ng second term, partner, isa lang ibig sabihin ito.
Ano?
Yung orange hair na yan, yung orange, that whole orange skin
Ano?
is a prelude to something.
Nako! Okay, silipin na muna natin ang ating mga signs. First up. Okay, it says,
When power beats down, true faith stands up.
Sino yung mga nasa gilid?
Si Alex Jones yata yung nasa kaliwa.
Kung makita.
Si J.D. Vance yung nasa kanan.
Si J.D. Vance ba to?
Ewan ko, pero kamukha nila.
Pwede. Okay, sige, next.
They touch one hair on that Pope said, and all of us non-Catholics, non-Christians, pagans, agnostics, atheists, Jews, Muslims, and free thinkers ride at dawn. Are you with me? Post yan sa Instagram ng the other 98%.
8%. Okay, susunod. This one from Michelle DeLong. I mean, come on, this is a Pope when he was a young priest from Chicago. Is this who these idiots want to mess with? He is on a mission from God.
Kamukha niya si ano pangalan nun? Yung guwaping na bida sa French na pelikula na The Leopard. Les Samurai. Ano
Yun.
pangalan nun?
Ano ba?
Yung pinapakita ko dati, Les Samurai.
Les?
Le.
Le. Okay.
Le Samurai.
Samurai. Okay. 1967 film.
Oo. Yung pangalan na bida, kamukha niya eh.
Si...
Inaangat
Ito?
ko nga yung...
Ito.
Alain Delon pala.
Ayan,
Yun naman si
Alain
Alain Delon
Delon.
ng bata pa.
Sige nga.
Pero ang point dito, for the longest time, marami nagtatak, bakit hindi nagsasalita itong Santo Papa? Parang hindi tulad ni Pope Francis dati, di
Na
ba?
mas vocal about issues.
Pero ngayon na He's making the right sounds, the right noises. Ngayon, sa mga pagkakataon ito, kailangan yung boses niya.
Nasisita pa rin. Okay, send us your signs at afternoondelighton@gmail.com.
Ganun talaga pag yung Antichrist yung kalaban mo.
Ang hirap naman ng statement na yun. Okay. Sige, batiin muna natin lahat na nanonood sa Afternoon Delight via live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Tita Shawi, Auntie Marmy, nanonood din daw sila every Sunday. At syempre, Tito Redel, Tita Jane
Sa
Catapia.
tatay ko, nakababalik lang.
Ay! Nakauwi na!
O, naririnig niya pala yung mga panawagan natin na umuwi ka na.
Oo
pero
nga.
hindi niya narinig yung ibenta yung kalabaw. Pambili ng
So, nandun
TV.
pa yung kalabaw.
Oo, nandun pa yung kalabaw. Tapos, pangalan nito. Hello pala kay Aaron Revilla at kay Rebo. O, Rebo,
Hello.
adobo. Saan yung adobo natin, Rebo?
Oo nga.
At si Marion Ladja, alam mo na yan.
Teka na.
Sino pa ba? Mike Policarpio, of course.
Prof. Mark Pasco.
Mhm.
Teka, hindi lumalabas yung comments. Alam nyo na kung bakit.
O, Tucker Carlson. Ultimo si Tucker Carlson, nag-away sila, hindi sila nagkasundo. Falling out sila.
Ito, Alex Fuentes, Digital Wampom, si Alvin Pusta, Alex De La Cruz also watching us. Sino pa? Si JJTV. Nakaka-excite talaga mga nangyayari sa ating bansa.
Excitement in the Chinese sense of the word. Alam mo ba yung kasabihan?
Ano?
May you live in interesting times. Interesting pala yung word na hinahanap.
Oo.
Oh, that's the word we're looking for. Interesting times, it's a curse pala. Ibig sabihin nun.
Sabi, nako, ito hindi mo magugustuhan to. Si Ross Randall sabi, uy, good idea, pineapple puree on pancakes.
At dyan po nagtatapos ang ating programa. April 13, Monday. Thank you for watching Afternoon Delight. Siya po si Denise Tan.
Join us again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Siya naman si Lord De Vera, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a delightful afternoon.